Part 39. 10,000 times return. I am a mentor in the Novice Village. Author, Mingtong Shui. Chapter 381. Hundreds of miles of blood pillars penetrated the sky. The two remaining kings of Lowland Star, the advanced Forgotten One and the Phantom Fox King, as well as Miao Tian, the maker of the blood pillar, are all in the center of the blood pillar. Endless blood kept washing their bodies. Even their own blood was taken away. The thin column of blood lasted for 30 seconds. When the column of blood disappeared, the surviving soldiers on the battlefield only saw 5 figures falling from the sky. Lao Wu. Sun Xiaokong quickly flew toward the center. He caught Miao Tian's body before it hit the ground. As for the several kings of Lowland Star, they had already turned into mummies without blood. The same goes for the traitor King Huanhu. The high-level Forgotten also lost their mobility. Quick, quick. Lying in Sun Xiaokong's arms, Lao Wu's eyes were blood-red, his fangs were sharp and ferocious, and he was saying something intermittently. What's fast? Sun Xiaokong was confused. Hurry, call the teacher quickly. Miao Tian finally choked out a sentence. The violent plague was about to completely erode his mind. Because he was in a fighting state just now, he could not distract himself and enter the mind space to contact the teacher. Good. Sun Xiaokong immediately entered the mind space and sent out several mind messages in succession. At this time, Su Xian was still relaxing in Blood Sea City. His blood clone led the army on his behalf, and he and his other blood clone drank tea leisurely one-on-one on the 5th line of defense. All the strong men in the two worlds could not imagine it. Shivaru and Su Xian, who are having the strongest collision, are both fake. The real strongest king has already begun his final plan to steal his family. The bloody battlefield has become a chess game in Su Xian's eyes. Teacher! Teacher! Something happened to Lao Wu. At this moment, there was movement in the mind space. Su Xian separated a ray of mental power into the mind space, and saw a series of messages from Sun Xiaokong. With the thought, Su Xian noticed something strange about Lao Wu. At this time, Lao Wu fell into a state of extreme mental confusion. Sun Xiaokong quickly told the whole story, and Su Xian understood clearly. As expected of the 5th child, he is indeed very experienced. In this battle, he was able to take into account all factors, even his own long-range support. He immediately contacted Lao Wu. The Supreme Meditation Lotus condenses. With Su Xian's current mental strength, it was easy to gather the Tai's Hangjings in Lotus. He quickly suppressed Lao Wu's chaotic state and put on the restraint device. Miao Tian gradually woke up and breathed a sigh of relief. Thank you, teacher, for your help. It's okay. Su Xian was happy to have such a calm and calculating person among his disciples, otherwise they would all be a bunch of reckless men. If he was no longer around one day, things would definitely go haywire. He asked, what's going on with the 3rd line of defense? It's dangerous. Miao Tian said solemnly, because the Phantom Fox King rebelled on the battlefield, the 3rd Legion Marshal King Chongming fell, and Lowland Star temporarily withdrew its army. We also suffered heavy losses. Sun Xiaokong also had lingering fears. If Lao Wu hadn't turned the tide at the critical moment, I'm afraid the 3rd line of defense would have been breached. Luo Langxing has made a lot of preparations. The Phantom Fox King actually rebelled. Su Xian frowned, a little surprised, but also seemed to be expected. His impression of the Phantom Fox King was not very good. After all, this guy had threatened Su Ying before, and his temper had always been weird and unpredictable. Unexpectedly, he actually rebelled. Since the beginning of the war, there has been little movement from rebels around the world. Is the tail finally showing now? He believed that there were traitors not only on the Dragon Kingdom side, but also on other lines of defense. For the human race, the rebels were even more terrifying than those top kings. Because these traitors have lost their humanity and those who defect to the enemy may come out and stab you at any time. Often this knife is fatal. It is difficult to guard against house thieves during the day and night, and even the human race cannot do anything about it. There are all kinds of life in the world, and there are always some exceptions. Not only the human race, but also the Lowland Star 10,000 clans have many undercover agents bribed by the human race. They all abandon all existence for themselves. Even their parents, family, and friends are just pawns that they can use at will. The rebellion of the Phantom Fox King also sounded the alarm for Blue Star. Su Xian had an ominous premonition in his heart. He was afraid that rebels in other places would also cause chaos at such a moment. You guys need to take a good rest first. Su Xian warned the two disciples, Lowland Star is likely to continue to launch attacks, and we must not let up at any time. Yes, teacher. The fourth and fifth boys responded at the same time. This battle left both of them exhausted. One of the brothers withstood the upper battlefield, and the other commanded the lower battlefield. They struggled to bring the battle back from a disadvantage, but they knew that the war was far from over. Strong, Lao Wu. The two of them walked side by side to the base. Sun Xiaokong smiled and said, I didn't expect you to have such strong combat power without saying a word. Miao Tian shrugged, I can't help it. Who asked the teacher to give me more cheats? I'm old and my potential is limited. If I want to catch up with you, I have to take some extreme measures. Now the pressure is on me. Sun Xiaokong turned the stick in his hand and said helplessly, why do you feel that besides Lin, I am the weakest one in the division? You are wrong. Miao Tian teased, Lin's path is completely different from ours. In the future, she will be a great prophet who controls the overall situation, makes plans, and wins thousands of miles away. Combat power is not that important. It seems to be the truth. Sun Xiaokong was really bored now. Since the fifth brother, Mai Wang, Lin, and the eighth brother Wuxin are all weird players, and they are not comparable. It can only be said that the teacher is too strong. All kinds of disciples can be taught well. I'd better practice hard. Sun Xiaokong walked forward with his head down. Miao Tian laughed at the back, fourth brother, don't be inferior. There are so many people in the sect, and you are the only one who has fought hard on your own. I believe you can catch up with us. Of course, Sun Xiaokong was not so easily discouraged. What can't beat him will only make him stronger. Fighting to the end is never a joke. As long as he can keep fighting, he will definitely be able to stand at the top of this world. Boom. The two brothers were chatting, and suddenly there was a violent movement in the far distance of the battlefield between the two worlds. The two looked there at the same time. That direction was the location of the 16th line of defense. It was unknown how far away it was from here, and there were various terrain obstacles, but at this moment, they all saw the scenery of the 16th line of defense clearly. In other words, the entire battlefield of the two worlds saw it. All the lives in the two worlds focused their sights on the direction of the 16th line of defense at the same time. There, a huge mushroom cloud rose into the sky. This mushroom cloud that shone across the entire battlefield of the two worlds also made all the soldiers of Blue Star change color. 10,000 times return, I am a mentor in the Novice Village. Author, Mingtong Shui. Chapter 382. Mushroom Cloud. God-killing bomb. The entire battlefield of the two worlds knew what the huge mushroom cloud meant. That was the scene when the ultimate weapon of Blue Star, the God-killing bomb, was in full bloom. Blue Star would only use such means when it was at a dead end, which means that the base of the 16th line of defense had been completely destroyed. The garrison had no choice but to take the last resort. This was also the first time that the God-killing bomb was put into actual combat after its advent, and its earth-shattering power completely shocked the world. The huge movement could be felt from tens of thousands of miles or even farther away, So you can imagine how terrifying the center of the explosion was. Even a demigod would probably end up with no body and no soul left under such a terrifying explosion wave. Su Xian's two blood clones also saw this scene. The information was shared with Su Xian's original body, who was lurking in the Blood Sea City. This scene was truly beyond Su Xian's expectations. He did not expect that the 16th line of defense would be lost at the first moment of the war. The dagger of the rebels really pierced into the lifeblood of Blue Star. At this moment, he could imagine what a hell on earth the 16th Defense Line base was like. The armies of the two worlds at the center of the explosion were probably dead. The Legion base was probably also completely destroyed. Once the explosion subsided, the army of Lulan Star would march straight in from this gap. Without the base defense formation, no one on Blue Star could guard there except him. Teacher, did you see it? The god-killing bomb has been activated. At this time, the voice of the third brother Xianyuan Qingqing came from the mind space. Then Sun Xiaokong, Miao Tian, and Mai Wang also started a communication in the mind space. The explosion of the god-killing bomb was shocking, making it impossible for the disciples to judge the current situation. I didn't expect the situation to be so critical. Su Xian looked solemn and said, Qingqing, next you lead the messenger of justice and as many puppets as possible to reinforce the 16th line of defense. After the aftermath of the explosion dissipates, there will inevitably be a bloody battle there. What you have to do is to delay the enemy as much as possible while ensuring personal safety. The Blue Star Alliance will definitely send troops to garrison, you just need to assist. Yes, teacher. Xianyuan Qingqing only trusts the teacher's deployment. With the transformed messenger of justice and a group of puppets, she can protect herself even if she encounters the top king. Xiaokong, Miao Tian, you two should stay at the third line of defense and wait for the opportunity. Su Xian continued to deploy. Mai Wang, how is your discussion with the tower spirit of Lulan Star? Teacher, my second sister and I have already made an appointment with the big evil spirit of Lulan Star. I will send you the location when the time comes. This time, they must taste the bitter fruit. Mai Wang didn't see the situation of the two worlds very clearly, and his mind was finally a little simple. He didn't even realize that the battle had reached a critical moment. Then be careful. Now Mai Wang's strength has also touched the threshold of being crowned king. After all, he has accepted the complete inheritance of the gods, and he has a clearer view of the future evolutionary path than other disciples. Su Xian still has a portion of the original spirit ancestral blood in his hand. Since Mai Wang had not yet digested the inheritance of the gods at that time, he did not give him the original spirit ancestral blood for fusion. After this battle, Mai Wang has experienced some battles and should have digested it almost. Only when the time comes to fuse the original spirit ancestral blood can the best effect be achieved. After discussing with several disciples, Su Xian used the soul lamp to contact Lin Suiying, who was still on the fifth line of defense. Now, in the entire two worlds, only Lin Suiying knows what Su Xian is doing. Everyone else, including the demigods on the sky, has been deceived by this play. Suiying, I'm ready to start the final action here. I'm almost recovered too. After a series of battles and training, Lin Suiying's root bones finally recovered, and the water and moon factor given to her by her teacher also further strengthened her root bone talent. Now she is even stronger than before. Flowers in the mirror, moon in the water, real and fake, true and false, flowers in the mirror, moon in the water, can't be touched. Lin Suiying has realized a lot of the true meaning between the real and the fake. She is confident that even without the help of the power of runes, she can still fight against the top kings. Even if she encounters a strong man like Shivali, she can still fight with 2 or 3 runes. Not to mention the 4th rune, it is enough to kill a stronger demigod. Of course, she will not use the 4th rune again. If her bones are lost again, she will be completely useless. She doesn't want to experience the emptiness and loss in her heart for the second time. I'll go to the 16th line of defense to support. Lin Suiying knew that with the ascension of King Wuan and the Great Demon King, the Mad Lion King and the Ghost King were seriously injured, and her husband went deep into the enemy camp of Lulan Star. Now only she and King Wan Li have the ability to face the top few kings of Lulan Star. The King of Thunder was probably already being plotted against by Luo Langxing. Daisy would definitely send a powerful army to hold the King of Thunder back, and even take all the chess pieces into account. Having exposed so many cards, Luo Langxing finally managed to break through a base, and there was no way he would give up this opportunity. As long as it was visible, it must have been plotted against. In the entire two worlds, she was the only one who had the ability to change the situation but had not surfaced. Okay. Su Xian did not stop Lin Suiying. While Daisy was calculating the overall situation, he also had the situation of the two worlds in his hands. Shivali was imprisoned by him, and the Goblin King Kuro was also dead. Su Xian knew his wife's strength very well. Now, no one can suppress Su Ying on the battlefield between the two worlds. Then I'm leaving. Lin Suiying's character recovered with her strength. She wanted to laugh when she thought of herself, who was depressed and worried that she would be disliked by Su Xian one day and could not grow old with her beloved. It turned out that she couldn't escape the things she thought were vulgar in her heart. Love really doesn't make sense. After disconnecting the fate lamp, Lin Suiying quietly swept towards the direction of the 16th line of defense. Su Xian also left the Blood Sea City. He had only one goal, which was the most prosperous place in the entire Lulan Star, the sacred place built by Lulan Star together, the city of all races. In the city of all races, the Dark Elf Temple is the top priority. Su Xian knew that Daisy, who maintained the combat command of the entire Lulan Star, was there, and the Chaos Stone was also there. This time, Su Xian did not dare to guarantee that he could complete it smoothly. After all, from another perspective, the defense of the city of 10,000 races was even more stringent than that of the Dragon City, the first city of Blue Star, and it had the strongest blood magic array protection in the entire Lulan Star. Once that kind of formation was activated, it would be easy to suppress the demigod. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. 10,000 times return, I am a mentor in the Novice Village. Author, Mingtong Shui. Chapter 383. The Border of the Sky. The faces of the Blue Star demigods, led by Tian Baiyu, were gloomy. The god-killing bomb was activated. This was the result they expected but did not want to see the most. It can be said that the god-killing bomb was the last trump card of Blue Star, but now Blue Star has used it up, which means that Blue Star has reached the point of exhaustion. This will deal a heavy blow to the morale of Blue Star. They seem to be able to see the next scene. Waiting for the aftermath of the god-killing bomb to end, Lulan Star will definitely launch a large-scale attack on the 16th line of defense. At that time, there will be no protective base, and the human race can only fill it with their lives. By then, there will be corpses everywhere and blood will flow like a river. Or, let's violate the agreement. At this time, a demigod proposed. Yes, it has come to this point, and Blue Star's decline will probably get worse and worse. We can't just watch these high-level monsters break into Blue Star. Several other demigods also echoed. The two worlds are connected, and there are countless passages in the small world, which has led to the influx of monsters from all races and occupied all the wilderness areas of Blue Star. The human race can only live in cities. Fortunately, low-level monsters are not a threat to real big cities. But once high-level monsters also pour into Blue Star and lurk in the wilderness of Blue Star, the harm will increase by more than 100 times. None of the demigods want to see this situation. No. Tian Bai rejected it outright. Tear up the agreement? Once they go down to participate in the war, there will be more demigods on Lowland Star, and Blue Star will only be defeated faster. Unless the nine-tailed fox is willing to help them. It's just that whether the nine-tailed fox is willing to take action is a big problem. Lowland Star has a force that is no less than that of the Fox Senior. The result of this war seems tragic. In fact, it is already the best ending. The consequences of tearing up the agreement are not something they can bear. If they provoke the Fox Senior, then Blue Star and the human race will really be hopeless. The demigods were discussing, and at this moment, the border of the sky suddenly shook violently. What's going on? Tianbai was shocked. Why did the border of the sky suddenly shake? The border of the sky is the place closest to the origin of the world. Once it shakes, it means that a major event that will affect the entire Blue Star world is about to happen. The last time the border of the sky shook was when Senior Nine-Tailed Fox broke the seal. At that time, the borders of the sky in both worlds shook. What happened today? It is impossible that there is another existence as powerful as Senior Nine-Tailed Fox who is sealed somewhere in the two worlds. In this case, there is only one result. The fusion of the two worlds. Except for the vibration of the border of the sky caused by Senior Nine-Tailed Fox breaking the seal, every other vibration of the border of the sky is due to the fusion of the two worlds. One wave has not settled, another wave rises. The hearts of the demigods are getting more and more uneasy. Such vibration intensity will only occur when the fusion intensifies to produce a super-large world channel. The military strength of Blue Star is not as strong as that of Lowland Star. If a new super-large world channel is created, it will directly lead to internal turmoil in Blue Star. In addition to the kings guarding the various royal cities, Blue Star no longer has any extra kings to guard the new super-large world channel. What happened? Why did the two worlds suddenly merge further? Is it because of the god-killing bomb? The demigods were puzzled. They felt a deep sense of powerlessness in their hearts. I'm afraid the demigods of Lowland Star are about to laugh at this time. It is much easier to capture a newly born super-large world channel than to break through a Legion base. Bear Country. A remote snowy town. Here, the people of Bear Country live a simple and happy life. Ordinary people don't know how cruel the war has become. Boom. Suddenly, a building in the town shattered and turned into powder in an instant. All the people nearby were strangled. Then, the fluctuations expanded rapidly over a large area. The people in the small town had almost no time to resist, and were swept away by the fluctuations and turned into dust. In just a few seconds, the entire small town was swallowed up, and even the strongest person in the small town had no time to react. The violent spatial fluctuations were still spreading. The sky seemed to be torn open with a huge hole, lightning and thunder, and dark clouds. It appeared so quickly. At the same time, the demigods also monitored the abnormality of the small town on the border of the Bear Country, which was indeed a precursor to the birth of a super-large world channel. There was absolutely no time to react. It was not until this moment that the demigods realized that the situation was far more serious than they had imagined. The sky border shook for only a few minutes, and the super-large world channel was born, which was countless times faster than before. Before this, the birth of any super-large world channel would have signs half a year or even longer in advance, but this time it was only a few minutes. This proves that the fusion of the two worlds has entered a new stage. The situation of the two worlds will definitely undergo a major change as a result. A new super-large world channel has appeared. All the kings in the western and northern parts of the Bear Country, please lead your troops to the northern border immediately. All the kings in the western and northern parts of the Bear Country, please lead your troops to the northern border immediately. The demigods personally sent the message. At this moment, the top leaders of the entire Bear Country were in a panic. They have been paying attention to the war situation in the battlefields of the two worlds, but they did not expect that the war would suddenly spread to the interior of Blue Star. After hundreds of years, a super-large world channel appeared again. At this point in the war, no country has any vacant kings. They can only let the kings guarding the major royal cities hand over the control of the protective formation to their subordinates, and then support the super-large world channel as soon as possible. In any case, the super-large world channel must not be lost. Even if it means letting some rebels and lurkers make trouble as a price, there is no way. At this time, they can only weigh the pros and cons and give up some things to preserve the overall situation. The three kings of the three royal cities in the west and north of the Bear Country led their troops to the vicinity of the super-large world channel that has not yet been completely finalized as soon as they received the order. The demigods of Blue Star did not breathe a sigh of relief. On the contrary, their mood became more solemn. Because the vibration of the sky boundary has not stopped, but it has occurred again after a short interval. I am afraid that another super-large world channel will be born. 1, 2, or even more. Every time a super-large world channel is born, the Blue Star, which is under strength, will become more nervous, and the chance of Lawrence Star attacking will increase. Boom. Before they could recover from the shock, the violent space fluctuations swept over Manchester City in the east of Eagle Country without any warning. Instantly, the entire Manchester City was swallowed up. A huge hole was torn in the sky. Another super-large world channel is about to be born. 10,000 times return. I am a mentor in the Novice Village. Author, Mingtong Shui. Chapter 384. It only took a few minutes for the super-large world channel to appear in the north of Bear Country. A super-large world channel appeared again in the east of Eagle Country. Two super-large world channels appeared at the same time, which had never happened even when the two worlds first collided and merged 500 years ago. All this seemed to be a chain reaction caused by the activation of the god-killing bomb. Or maybe it was for some other reason. The strong men of Blue Star had no intention of investigating. A new super-large world channel appeared again. All the kings in the east and north of Eagle Country, please lead your troops to the eastern border immediately. All the kings in the east and north of Eagle Country, please lead your troops to the eastern border immediately. The emergency order of the Blue Star Alliance was issued again. The kings of the four royal cities in the east and north of Eagle Country also immediately led their troops to the super-large world channel on the eastern border. Dragon Country, Dingai Royal City. As the governor of Dingai Royal City, King Zhejiang did not participate in the war between the two worlds, but stayed in the royal city. He stood on the top of the governor's mansion and looked up at the sky. The color of the sky seemed to have changed. Information kept coming from the communicator. Super-large world channels appeared almost simultaneously in Bear Country and Eagle Country, which made him very worried. In terms of overall strength, the three strongest countries on Blue Star are Dragon Country, Eagle Country, and Bear Country. The territories of the three countries are very vast, and the super-large world channels within their territories are also the most. New super-large world channels have appeared in Bear Country and Eagle Country, so how far will Dragon Country be? No matter how strong Dragon Country is, it has already given its all for this war, and there is no extra king to deal with such emergencies. Boom. At this moment, a roar suddenly came from the airspace in the south of Dingai King City. King Zhejiang was shocked. Did it really appear? What happened in the two worlds? Why did so many super-large world channels appear at the same time? This time, can they really defend it? In a sense, the war in the super-large world channel is far more cruel than the battlefield between the two worlds. There is no protective base here, only bloody battles. A new super-large world channel appears again. All the kings in the eastern and southern parts of Dragon Country, please lead your troops to the southern border immediately. All the kings in the eastern and southern parts of Dragon Country, please lead your troops to the southern border immediately. The order of the Blue Star Alliance was issued quickly. Dingai King City happened to be a city in the southern part close to the eastern part, and he must also participate in this garrison battle. Is it finally my turn? The moment he received the order, King Zhejiang was relieved. His old father and mother had already gone to the battlefield between the two worlds to fight. As a descendant of the Miao family, he stayed in the king's city and waited quietly for the result of the battle. He felt like sitting on pins and needles every second. Now he can finally contribute to the war between the two worlds. He looked back at the location of Shuiyu Palace. Perhaps among all the kings, the one that needs least to be worried is Dingai King City. With the backup left by King Qinji, there is no need to worry about the rebels. Zhejiang Army, listen up. Miao Xian's voice spread above the military camp. A super large world channel has appeared in the southern part of Longguo. Please follow me to guard it. Be sure to gather within 5 minutes. The battle for the super large world channel must be fought against time. They don't have much time to prepare. Soon, the army of Dingai King City has assembled. Facing this war, King Zhejiang was more cautious than ever before and directly brought his carefully trained personal guards. Other kings in the east and south are also gathering their troops. The super-large military spacecraft started. The team marched towards the south in a mighty manner. This scene made the people of the king's city panic. Is the war going to spread to the interior of the blue planet? Longguo, the south. The sky is constantly being torn apart. The huge gap is still expanding, and the strong space fluctuations squeeze everything around into pieces. There seems to be endless terror brewing in the dark hole. Before the super-large world channel was finalized, the 4 kings in the east and south of Longguo arrived at the battlefield first. The 4 kings looked at the cave entrance solemnly. The brutal force of space made them feel an incomparable heavy pressure. They were all kings of the later era, and had not witnessed the cruelty of the initial war, nor had they participated in the war of the super-large world channel. When they really faced it, they knew how strong the oppression brought by the appearance of the super-large world channel was. Time passed bit by bit. Every minute and every second was a test of their mentality. Finally, the space crack stopped expanding and gradually stabilized. Kill. At the moment of stability, the 4 kings gave orders at the same time, and rushed to the front, and the soldiers followed them into the space channel. In the battle of the channel, the most important thing is to occupy the gap where the chaotic energy gushed out first, and then install special defense crystals to fight as the core of the position. The kings entered first to seize the best stronghold. This step has a crucial impact on the subsequent battle. The kings tried their best to escape forward, and soon they saw the kings of Lauren Star coming towards them, a total of 7 figures. In a king-level battle, 4 against 7, they were at a huge disadvantage. But there was nothing they could do about it. Lauren Star is stronger than Blue Star, and the number of royal cities is far more than Blue Star. In this sudden situation, the forces that can be mobilized are also stronger than Blue Star. Fortunately, everyone is not a top king. As long as they install the defense crystal, they can barely fight. The water of the river comes from the sky. Zhejiang King Miao Xian shouted softly, and the inner world was reflected. With a wave of his hand, 9 rolling rivers rushed towards the opposite side. As soon as he made a move, he took the initiative to fight against the 2 strongest second-level kings on the opposite side. The other kings also found their opponents. As long as they can stop these kings for a while, Blue Star will install the defense crystal. Even if they can't fight head-on, defense is still no problem. For so many years, the soldiers of Blue Star have been learning how to fight more with fewer people and minimize losses. The kings fought, and other soldiers arrived quickly. Relatively speaking, the battlefield of the Marquis and below is much easier. Lowland Star has the help of the Forgotten, and Blue Star also has puppets equipped with the puppet Sorrow. As long as the puppet blocks it for a while, the dukes can install the Chaos Crystal. The soldiers had a clear division of labor, and soon occupied a relatively large chaos energy gap, ready to install the defense crystal. He he he. A strange laugh suddenly came from the sky. Then, everyone saw a huge weird smiley face appearing above the sky. The moment they saw this smiley face, the Dukes of Blue Star changed their faces at the same time. Especially the King of Zhejiang, his heart tightened. He knew very well what this smiley face meant. It was the culprit who caused the death of the predecessor King Dingai, the little king of the 12 pillars of the rebel army's 2 kings, the Clown King. 10,000 times return, I am a mentor in the Novice Village. Author, Mingtong Shui. Chapter 385. Clown King. The people of Longguo were shocked and angry. They obviously didn't expect that in such an important battle, the silent Clown King would suddenly attack. The attack of the Clown King was fatal to them. 4-7 was already the limit of the 4 kings of Longguo. With the addition of a Clown King, they had no chance of winning. Everyone, how about this gift? The Clown King's arrogant laughter echoed in the battlefield. He did not show up. But the sound alone was enough to bring endless fear to everyone. No one knew where the elusive Clown King would appear from. At the beginning, Senior Dingai King fell under the scheme of the Clown King. Even though that was the Dingai King who had entered his twilight years, he was still the Dingai God Needle in the hearts of the people of Dingai King City. So they had an instinctive fear of the Clown King. Don't worry about it, install the defense crystal first. Seeing this, King Zhejiang pushed out with one palm, and 9 rivers hung upside down from the sky, trapping the 2 kings of Lulan Star in it. But his face was not good either. Just one move, and his aura was reduced by half. It was obviously a great price. Quick! King Zhejiang shouted. A group of marquises began to install the defense crystal. Whoosh! The space fluctuated, and an invisible dagger shot towards the marquis who was installing the defense crystal. Clown King, you are really a clown. King Zhejiang snorted coldly, raised his hand and scattered the invisible dagger. Thank you for your praise. The voice of the Clown King came from all directions, and King Zhejiang couldn't see where his real body was. Whoosh! 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 More daggers shot out from all over the space. King Zhejiang tried his best to resist. But he, who had already fought with the 2 kings of Lulan Star, was no match for the Clown King. Puff! He couldn't stop it after all. A dagger shot directly through a marquis. Another one injured his thigh. Not only that, from time to time, the clown magic box filled with green and yellow gas would explode on the battlefield, and the soldiers who were occupying other small strongholds also suffered heavy losses. King Zhejiang felt powerless. He did not expect to encounter such a setback in his first battle. Is he really going to die before he can achieve his goal? The chance of winning this battle is less than 1 in 10, but as a commander, he must not be discouraged. If he admits defeat, it will be the end. There is still hope, there must be hope. Miao Xian thought of his father and his mother who had been imprisoned in the magic sword for more than 100 years. They had waited for hope in that desperate situation. Besides, his current situation is far from being a desperate situation. Under the full defense of King Zhejiang, the first large defense crystal was finally installed. At the same time, the 2 kings of Lulan Star, who were trapped by the 9 rivers, had also broken through the defense and rushed towards King Zhejiang. King Zhejiang retreated into the protection range of the defense crystal. The same was true for the other 3 kings of Dragon Country. They were all injured in this battle that was not evenly matched, but not as seriously injured as King Zhejiang. King Zhejiang first used forbidden magic to trap the 2 kings of Lulan Star, and then forcibly stopped the Clown King, and his strength was basically overdrawn. Huff, huff, huff. He sat on the ground, panting heavily, and coughed up blood from time to time. The Clown King's dagger still carried a strong toxin. This toxin was completely impossible to expel in his current state. King Zhejiang, can you still hold on? The other three kings defended with all their strength with the help of the formation, but they gradually fell into despair in their hearts, because other formation points were being removed one by one. These remnants of the defeated army could not hold on for too long after all. What made them even more desperate was that there would be no more reinforcements on Blue Star. Even if they fought for reinforcements, they could not beat Lowland Star, and they could only defend for a while here. All they could do was fight to the death. Fight to the death and never retreat. King Zhejiang remembered the words left by Senior King Dingai before his death. Where I fall, another person will stand up. The road I haven't finished will definitely be continued by someone else. Just like the wind of the Blue Star will never stop, the flag of the Dragon Kingdom will always fly in the wind. Yes. If I fall, there will definitely be another person standing up. Hasn't the Dragon Kingdom survived from generation to generation by relying on its unyielding character and proud blood? So many predecessors sacrificed their blood for the prosperity of the human race. He, King Zhejiang, can be honored to be one of them today. May the mountains and rivers be safe and the light shine for thousands of years. Kill. King Zhejiang forcibly suppressed the toxins in his body and fought again with the power of the defensive crystal. Even if he died, he would show his demeanor as a descendant of the Miao family, a soldier of the Dragon Kingdom, and a human race. Dragon Kingdom, Dingai King City. Small courtyard of the Shuiya Palace. Moira is teaching Xiaoqi the art of prophecy. Perhaps because of the great changes in the times, the power of the world has become uncontrollable, and Xiaoqi's speed of condensing the star map is much faster than before. She could feel the sadness conveyed by Xiaoqi from time to time. Under the influence of Xiaoqi, all the flowers, plants, and trees in the small courtyard, except for the world sapling, became much more decadent. Suddenly, Xiaoqi woke up from the state of cultivation and turned to look at the room where Xiaoli was in the inner palace. Although she had been wearing an eye mask, she could see more clearly than anyone else. It is said that the eye of prophecy has evolved to its final state, and can even see a short future timeline. Moira also felt the movement in the room. There was an uncontrolled terrifying aura awakening there. Boom. The next second, the roof of the Shuiya King's inner palace was directly lifted. Then a childish cry came out. Soon a figure flashed in front of them. It was Xiaoli, who had been sleeping for a long time and had just awakened. Xiaoli is still Xiaoli. She is still the cute little loli with red lips and white teeth. But the aura she exudes at this time is far from comparable to before. Facing such a Xiaoli, even Moira felt a little pressure. Looking at Xiaoli's innocent and sleepy face, it seems that he has not yet realized his own changes. Auntie, Xiaoqi. Xiaoli rubbed his eyes, yawned, and asked casually, "Are the teacher and mother not back yet? I feel like I slept for a long time." Moira smiled bitterly. For a moment, she really didn't know how to answer this question. She could only briefly tell Xiaoli what had happened during this period. After listening to Moira's story, Xiaoli was stunned. "How can I sleep so well? I'm better than a pig." Moira smiled and said, "There is one more thing you need to pay attention to. Your current realm is already better than your mother. You should be more restrained in the future." As she said, Moira pointed to the roof that had just been overturned. "Did you see it? Your random movements now may cause great damage to the things around you." "Did I do that?" Xiaoli looked at her hands in disbelief, and then she was overwhelmed with joy. She even wanted to shout to the sky. "I, Xiaoli, have finally grown up." Window. Tabula equals window. Tabula. Tabula.push, mode, thumbs feed -01, container, tabula below article feed, placement, below article feed, target. Type, mix. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. 10,000 times return, I am a mentor in the Novice Village. Author, Mingtong Shui. Chapter 386. And, can I go find my teacher and mom now? Xylee was eager to try with a hammer that was taller than her on her back. With her continuous breaking of mirrors, the hammer is now nearly 3 meters long, while she is still a little kid who is just over 1 meter long. After all, it is only the realm that grows up, not the person. Of course, Moira said with a smile, but before I go find my mom and teacher, there is something I need your help with. As she said, Moira pointed to the south of the royal city. Xylee's eyes also followed the direction. She could feel that there was a strong spatial fluctuation there. Is it a monster invasion? Xylee still knows about the basic knowledge of the world. She knows that it is called Super Large World Channel. Yeah. Moira nodded. Then I'll go, Aunt. Facing the invasion of the Super Large World Channel, Xylee not only did not feel a sense of crisis, but instead had the urge to indulge. Teacher and mother are always busy with these monsters. So if all the monsters are killed, will the teacher and mother come back to accompany me? Whoosh! Xylee turned into a stream of light and disappeared into the sky. Soon she arrived outside the newly appeared Super Large World Channel in Dragon Country. The strong bloody smell hit her face, and this feeling made Xylee feel nauseous instinctively. She held the sledgehammer and stepped into the channel. The moment she entered the Super Large World Channel, the kings who were fighting also felt something unusual. The 7 kings of Lulanstar and the Clown King looked into the distance at the same time. There was a golden light shooting out from there. Who is that? Why is there such a powerful king left on Blue Star? This kind of pressure is no less than that of Shivari. When the breath approached, the kings of Lulanstar instinctively felt a little fear in their hearts. Clown King, what's going on? One of the kings looked at the Clown King fiercely, asking him to give an explanation. However, the Clown King was also in a state of confusion. He appeared only after eliminating all dangers in this operation. How could there be unexpected situations? Moreover, this power made him feel very unfamiliar. There was no such person among the kings and even marquises of the entire Blue Star. No matter what, take down King Zhejiang and others first. The kings of Lulanstar were afraid, and wanted to take down King Zhejiang and others who were on the verge of collapse before the golden light came to support them. The 8 kings launched forbidden techniques at the same time. Boom! The power of the forbidden technique destroyed the energy shield of the defensive crystal in an instant, and blasted towards the Blue Star army with undiminished power. At this moment, the speed of the golden light in the distance suddenly increased. The high-speed rotating hammer fell under the shield first, and actually blocked all the forbidden techniques. Impossible. 8 forbidden techniques were blocked just like that. What on earth is that? This scene made the scalps of many kings of Lulanstar numb, and they looked at the golden hammer floating there in horror. This hammer has exceeded their cognition. It seems that the worldview has been shattered by this hammer? Could it be that the demigod of Blue Star tore up the contract and personally went down? The king of Zhejiang and others who survived the disaster have not yet reacted. Which big guy saved them? Could it be that there are hidden strongmen in Blue Star? No. King Zhejiang was stunned at first, and a light flashed in his mind. Why does this hammer look so familiar? Could it be? When the petite and cute figure in his mind jumped, he felt a little absurd. Who dares to hurt my nephew? A childish voice came from the edge of the sky, and King Zhejiang thought he had hallucinations. He looked forward again. It seemed that hallucinations also appeared. The golden hammer suspended in the air has been held by a petite girl. That person is. King Zhejiang couldn't believe it and slapped himself in the face. The girl was smiling at him at this time. Nephew, I haven't seen you for a few days. Why are you so lame? This sentence directly pulled King Zhejiang back from his fantasy. This tone, this smile, this childish talk, I am afraid there is no other king in the world who is so unpretentious. Xiao Li, is it really you? He. Xiao Li grinned, put his hands on his waist, raised his chest and head, and said proudly, yes, it is your second uncle who came to save you. King Zhejiang almost cried. Face and other things are no longer important. Uncle is uncle. His own father is not ashamed to call the second sister, he is afraid of nothing. After saying that, Xiao Li turned his head and looked at the 7 commanders of Lulan Star and the Clown King. The whole battlefield fell into silence at this moment, and all eyes were focused on the little girl swinging the sledgehammer. Lulan Star was like a big enemy. Facing this weird girl, they couldn't even think of resisting. Because they knew that the gap was too big. The hammer thrown from a distance could block their joint attack, so what could they use to fight the little girl in front of them? At this moment, information about this girl finally emerged in their minds. The second disciple of the Thousand Machine King Su Xian. The daughter of the Water Moon King Lin Suying. Is it Su Xian again? Several kings of Lulan Star felt that they were ruled by this name. Since the beginning of the war, this name has been like a nightmare in their hearts. It seems that anyone who has anything to do with Su Xian is a child of destiny. I'm going to start. The sledgehammer in Xiaoli's hand burst into a brilliant light, and a terrifying might gathered. Retreat! Retreat! The strong men of Lulan Star retreated frantically into the blood magic circle. Xiaoli did not stop them, but just kept compressing the might into the hammer. She didn't know any fancy moves. Only the hammer taught by the teacher was the most convenient and the most useful. It was obviously one person against the entire Lulan Star army, but the latter's momentum was completely suppressed. Perhaps the contrast brought by the small figure was too intense. It made them feel that this was more like a dream that could wake up at any time. Ha! Xiaoli shouted childishly and slowly raised the sledgehammer in his hand. Behind her, a shadow of a hammer covering the whole world was raised at the same time. It seemed that this hammer could smash the entire battlefield. Hammer. 80. Boom. A hammer smashed down. All the strong men on Lulan Star changed color. They no longer cared whether the name of this move was too outrageous. The heavy hammer with the might of heaven had already fallen on the blood magic circle. The blood magic circle was instantly shattered like paper in front of this devastating hammer. The 8 kings showed their magical powers to resist this hammer. Puff! 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 However, they still underestimated the power of this hammer. Even though they used all their strength, the hammer still did not stop at all, and even smashed their bodies into the ground. The huge blood magic circle was razed to the ground. 10,000 times return, I am a mentor in the Novice Village. Author, Mingtong Shui. Chapter 387. One hammer. The situation on the battlefield has been reversed. The king of Zhejiang and other Blue Star strongmen were dumbfounded. Even though they were mentally prepared, they still couldn't stop being shocked when they saw the style of that hammer. The growth process and strength of the Thousand Machine King Su Xian and the Water Moon King Lin Suying were already abnormal enough. Unexpectedly, their daughter was even more terrifying. Looking at the young figure, they couldn't believe that this was a child who had not even graduated from elementary school strictly speaking. Whoosh! Just as everyone was shocked, streams of light flew out from under the ground and fled madly into the distance. The hammer just now only seriously injured the strong men of Lulan Star, but failed to kill them. After feeling the terrifying strength of Xiaoli, they had completely lost the will to resist, and one by one they used the magic of escape to flee in different directions. Stop, don't run. Seeing this, Xiaoli shouted. She threw the sledgehammer into the sky, and it turned into 8 sledgehammers, chasing the fleeing king of Lulan Star and the traitor Clown King at the same time. The speed of the hammer flying was too fast. With a flash of golden light, it caught up with the kings and smashed them directly into the ground. Puff! The Clown King spurted out a mouthful of blood. At this moment, there was only despair in his heart. He didn't expect that he had calculated so many people, played tricks on countless strong men, came and went without a trace, killed people invisibly, and won thousands of miles away, but in the end he would die in the hands of a child without any schemes. He was unwilling. But in the face of absolute power, he was completely suppressed and unable to move. Come back. Xylee waved his hand, and the hammer shadow brought back the dying kings of Lorenstar. Seeing that the strong men of Lorenstar were carried around by Xylee like chickens, Zhejiang King and others felt complicated. The gap is too big. At present, Xylee's performance is even better than Chevali. I'm afraid this is the real strongest king of the two worlds. Nephew, how do you deal with these guys? Xylee looked at King Zhejiang. She only knew King Zhejiang among these people. Of course, kill them. King Zhejiang covered his chest, and there was black blood at the corner of his mouth. It was obvious that he was hurt by the Clown King. He sneered at the Clown King, I didn't expect you to have this day. Traitors of the human race will not have a good end. As he said, he laughed again, did you see it? The human race's luck is passed down from generation to generation. No matter what kind of crisis, someone will stand up. A sewer rat like you will never be able to understand the righteousness of the human race in sharing hardships. Today is the price you pay for betrayal. The Clown King's smiling face finally lost its smile. Only dejection remained. Just like many years ago, when he was abandoned by his parents and put on the clown mask for the first time. Lost. Completely lost. The Clown King lowered his head, did not refute King Zhejiang's words, and quietly waited for death to come. The other kings of Lorenstar were also disheartened. They didn't even dare to look at the human girl in front of them anymore. This scene was too absurd. Could it be that God really blessed Blue Star to win? Lorenstar had made so many efforts. After all, it was not right for the word God's will? Xylee raised the hammer again and dropped it. The 8 kings were completely annihilated. The Lorenstar army was also annihilated by the strong men from Blue Star. This battle, from despair to reversal, and then to complete victory, was all because of that hammer. The king of Zhejiang and other kings came forward. Second Master. After a brief hesitation, the king of Zhejiang finally gave up his face and called out the second master. After all, calling Xylee again was already impolite. According to Xylee's current strength and status, it would not be too much for them to call him Your Majesty. The other 3 kings looked at each other. What should they call? They had never encountered a situation where they had to greet a child first since they were so old. Looking at the embarrassed kings, Xylee, who was born with social confidence, seemed to understand something and smiled, do you want to ask about my title? The kings nodded like chicks pecking at rice. Xylee stretched out her index finger and thumb to make an 8 shape, and put it on her chin, while shaking the hammer in her other hand. I have already thought of my title, called Hammer. Let's call it, Hammer King. She shone with confidence, looking at everyone with her 2 big eyes, and asked seriously, how about it, is this title very domineering? Yes, yes, yes. Yes, yes, yes. Too domineering. The king said 3 sentences in a row. If you say no at this time, you may be hit on the head with a hammer. The king of Zhejiang even raised his thumb, and his flattery skills seemed to have reached perfection at this moment, and he actually added a sentence that he couldn't believe. The Hammer King, the Hammer King, the Hammer King. This title is simply the King of Kings. The childish words just won the favor of the childish ghost. The other 3 kings looked at Miao Xian with disdain. This guy had complained about Su Xian's family before, but now he was so obedient. Thank you, nephew. If there is nothing else, I will go to find my mother. Xiao Li put the hammer behind his back, waved his hand, and flew away. Support is just a side job. Finding his mother is the real purpose. King Zhejiang and others looked at Xiao Li's back as he left, and all smiled bitterly. The guys around Su Xian are really more freaks than each other. The third disciple Xianyu and Qingqing just reversed the situation on the battlefield between the two worlds a few days ago. Now the second disciple Xiaoli has saved the last line of defense of Blue Star in a desperate situation. Both of them are almost top-notch in their respective fields, and they are both Blue Star heroes who have truly reversed the situation on the battlefield. Will there be a more powerful and terrifying disciple in the future if there is another crisis? After all, Su Xian has so many disciples, and it seems that none of them is simple. Lauren Star, the city of 10,000 races. Su Xian transformed into a small leader of the 10,000 races and sneaked into the super city of Lauren Star. The Dark Elf Temple is right in the center of the city of 10,000 races. It is also the most heavily defended place in the entire city of 10,000 races. Just as Su Xian was about to continue to sneak in, an electronic sound suddenly sounded in his mind. Ding, your disciple Li Xiaoli killed 8 king-level monsters and gained a lot of experience energy. Congratulations on triggering 1,000 times the critical strike return, your realm has been improved. Pure energy poured into Su Xian's body. After a series of crazy fights among his disciples, and Xiaoli's 8 consecutive kills, his true realm finally broke through the first stage of the king. He officially entered the second stage, the realm of fruit. But now, a small realm leap is of little help to him. In this battle of leaks, he believes that it is only a matter of time before he breaks through the third stage, the origin realm. Compared with the improvement of realm, what surprised him more was Xiaoli's awakening. After sleeping for so long, Xiaoli finally woke up, and as soon as he woke up, he killed 8 kings. It seems that he has entered the newly appeared super large world channel. Now the situation is changing faster and faster, and he has to act quickly. 10,000 times return, I am a mentor in the Novice Village. Author, Mingtong Shui. Chapter 388. Teacher, teacher. Are you there? Xiao Li's voice came from the mind space. Master is here. Su Xian wandered around the city of 10,000 races, slowly moving toward the Dark Elf Temple, and used another ray of mental power to chat with Xiao Li. Teacher, my disciple has been asleep for so long, why don't you wake me up? Xiao Li asked. I will explain this to you later. Regarding the mysterious blood factor, Su Xian still doesn't understand what's going on and can't give Xiao Li a correct explanation. Oh. Xiao Li didn't go into details and immediately changed the question, Teacher, where is Mom? Is she with you? Here. The disciple will come to you now. Xiao Li was quite excited and said proudly, I am very powerful now. I just destroyed 8 king-level monsters in the super large world passage. This sentence exploded the other disciples. Chicken soup is coming, Lao San, is the little carp so powerful now? At the end of the battle, Sun Xiaokong, damn it, second senior sister is awesome. Resurrection Miao Tian, as expected of the second senior sister, she can become stronger even while lying down. I am the 6th child and I am not confused, you see, I just said that the second senior sister is just like me, she is really not a human being. Several disciples can feel the powerful mental fluctuations of Xiao Li in the mind space. This level of mental power can almost catch up with the teacher. It's really ridiculously strong. Unexpectedly, the weakest second senior sister would become the strongest among the disciples when she woke up. Hee. You have to work hard too. Facing the compliments from her junior brothers and sisters, Xiao Li accepted it very calmly and felt happy in her heart. She looked around and found out why there was no news about senior brother Mew. Where's senior brother Mew? As the two leaders of the Ox-Horse group and the first two people to become apprentices, Xiao Li naturally cared about senior brother Mu. Your senior brother Mu went to a mysterious place to practice. Going to practice? Xiao Li was a little disappointed. I thought that when I woke up this time, our cow-horse combination would be able to shock the world, but senior brother Mu is too weak. Su Xian. Disciples. Why is the most powerful king of the generation still calling himself a cow-horse combination? Aren't you afraid of leaving a high-definition lossless version of Black history when you grow up? Teacher, since senior brother Mu is not here, will this disciple come to find you and mother? Xiaoli still has a certain degree of dependence on Lin Suiying and Su Xian in terms of her character. She cannot stay in Dingai King City for a moment. After all, she is now so powerful that she no longer needs the protection of adults. No. Su Xian immediately rejected it. With Xiao Li's current strength, no one below the level of demigod can threaten her existence, but Xiao Li's life experience is too mysterious and special. Above the demigod realm, there are still divine envoys. Even though he still doesn't know what the purpose of the god's envoy is, one thing is certain: if Xiao Li performs too well on the battlefield between the two worlds, the god's envoy will definitely notice it. The senior nine-tailed fox has not dared to meet Xiao Li until now, perhaps just to avoid the scene from happening. Xiao Li, the situation in Blue Star is critical now, and there will probably be another super large world passage in the future. Su Xian found a reason: if you stay in Blue Star to solve the crisis of the super large world passage, you can fight side by side with us and help my teacher and mother. Oh. Xiao Li seemed to understand, but it seemed to be the truth. She asked seriously, Teacher, as long as all the monsters are eliminated, you and your mother can come back to accompany Xiao Li. Yes. Su Xian also replied seriously, as long as this war is over, we will all come back. Okay, Xiao Li smiled, disciple will definitely work hard to destroy all the hateful monsters so that you and your mother can go home early. What Xiao Li longed for in his heart was never to become the strongest through cultivation, but to have a happy family. She initially embarked on the path of cultivation just because she saw that her mother was working too hard, taking care of herself while always having to fight in vicious battlefields. So she worked very hard to help her mother. Su Xian breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, Xiao Li was easier to deceive, and he was coaxed back with just a few words. Otherwise, if this little guy really wants to come to the battlefield of the two realms, I am afraid no one can stop him. After finishing the psychological work for Xiao Li, Su Xian's mental power exited the mental space, and unknowingly he had arrived near the Dark Elf Temple. As we approach here, we can basically see no foreign races, only Dark Elves. Su Xian randomly selected an unfortunate Dark Elf and killed him, then changed his identity again. Although the external war has begun, according to his intelligence observations, Daisy should still be in the Dark Elf Temple. The Dark Elf Temple was filled with mist, and Su Xian did not dare to use his mental power to explore at will. With Daisy's caution, she must have arranged unimaginable means in the lair. As long as he moves, he will be noticed. Therefore, he must be fully prepared. There is only one chance. If he misses, he will inevitably be hit by the strongest blood magic circle in Lulan Star. At that time, he could only use his last trump card, Divine Projection. But on the planet of Lulan, which is dominated by divine messengers, he doesn't want to use this method. It would be best if he can escape without handing over his trump cards. He who comes is stopped. As soon as Su Xian Gang approached the temple, a dark elf immediately stopped him. The Dark Elf Temple is conducting a sacrificial ceremony and is temporarily not accepting worship from the public. Please leave. Su Xian saw a row of Dark Elf wizards entering the temple. Daisy might be doing something big. Otherwise, according to Daisy's usual habits, she should have been at the 10,000 Races Combat Command Center in the battlefield between the two worlds. Okay. Su Xian could only pretend to leave first. The construction of the Dark Elf Temple was intricate, with various magic arrays intertwined. Even if he broke in by force, he might not be able to find the Chaos Stone and kill Daisy in the first place. He walked around the area near the Dark Elf Temple. Then he began to leave space marks. These space marks went all the way from the vicinity of the Dark Elf Temple to the nearest super-large world channel, which was a way out for himself. With these marks, he could use space jump to return to Blue Star at the fastest speed. After a little thought, Su Xian had a solution in his mind. He moved his mind. Control the blood clone left in the Blood Sea City to come to the city of 10,000 races in the image of Shivali. He knew that the Chaos Stone shadow sent by Daisy had been monitoring his clone. As soon as he returned from the battle with Su Xian, the shadow had been staring at him. Once the clone moved, Daisy would immediately notice it. At this stage, he could only use this method to test the truth. His original body was hiding nearby, waiting for the best opportunity to come. A few minutes later, the blood clone arrived at the city of all races and went straight to the Dark Elf Temple. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. 10,000 times return, I am a mentor in the Novice Village. Author, Mingtong Shui. Chapter 389. Shivali is also a notorious existence on Lauren Star. With the help of Shivali's identity, the blood clone rushed all the way, and no dark elf dared to stop him. Meet your majesty. The previous dark elf guard saw Shivali, his face changed slightly, and he bowed his head respectfully. I want to see Daisy. The blood clone spoke directly. The guard was sweating profusely and could only bite the bullet and say, Her Majesty Daisy is performing a sacrificial ceremony. Please wait. You asked me to wait. The blood clone glared, Are you looking down on me? I dare not. The guard trembled, It's just that Her Majesty Daisy said that the sacrifice is very important. No matter who comes, she cannot be disturbed. I dare not disobey. No one can come? Ha, do you think the sacrifice is more important or the victory of the war between the two worlds is more important? The blood clone expressed the four words arrogant and domineering vividly, I just finished fighting with Su Xian and almost died. Now I don't even have the qualifications to see Daisy. I am very angry now. Whoever dares to stop me, I will kill him. After the voice fell, he took a step forward. The Dark Elf Guard didn't have the courage to attack the blood clone at all, and could only watch the blood clone walk into the temple. Because he knew very well that if he attacked Shivara now, he would die. After that, I will wait for the punishment from Her Majesty Daisy. At least there is a glimmer of hope for survival. A room inside the Dark Elf Temple. The ground is engraved with ancient array patterns. The ever-bright ancient lamp is burning, and the strange dark flame is swaying. Daisy is sitting in the center of the ancient array. In front of her, the Chaos Stone knowing destiny is suspended there, releasing a hazy gray light. Shivali is coming. At this time, the voice of the shadow servant sounded in her heart, it seems that after fighting with Su Xian, he has mastered some information. Start the array and stop him first. Daisy kept deducing something, and she didn't dare to interrupt at all. She also knew Shivali's temper. Her guards were just decorations in front of Shivali and could not stop Shivali. Has Shivali shown any suspicious behavior recently? It seems not. The shadow servant said, maybe there is. His fight with Su Xian is very suspicious. Oh? Tell me about it. Daisy has always had a hunch that Shivali is suspicious, but she can't tell what's wrong. The shadow servant analyzed, compared to the first fight between Shivali and Su Xian, even the demigods couldn't see any details of the fight in the next two clashes. In other words, we have no way of knowing whether the two sides fighting are Shivali and Su Xian. Indeed. Daisy frowned, then activate the Dark Star 7 Absolute formation to give him a try. The next battle cannot afford any mistakes. Shivali can't be indulged anymore. At this time, Su Xian's blood clone had already walked into the Dark Elf Temple. He carefully looked at everything in the temple, and this information was also shared with the original body. In this temple, there are at least thousands of formations of various sizes. Su Xian was stunned. Some formations even made him feel a strong threat. How scared is Daisy to have arranged the Dark Elf Temple like this? The base camp is really hard to break into. After walking around the wide temple, he continued to walk to the underground floor. At this moment, a dark star flickered on the ceiling of the temple. A strong sense of crisis suddenly came. Whoosh! 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 Countless faint dark lights shot over, and the blood clone was completely unable to distinguish the real from the fake. It was shot through the body by the dark light in an instant and dissipated between heaven and earth. Fake body. This scene made Daisy's face change in the core of the Dark Elf Temple. It turned out to be a fake body. And this breath obviously did not belong to Shivali, but Su Xian. You know, the shadow servant has been monitoring Shivali, and she has always thought that Shivali is the real body, but now it has become a fake body with Su Xian's breath. There is only one possibility. Shivali has fallen long ago, and Su Xian deceived the world and pretended to be Shivali to sneak in. Moreover, Su Xian also mastered a forbidden technique of clones at least at the demigod level. She had only seen that kind of forbidden technique in legends. I was fooled again. Daisy was furious. Shivali fell, but Su Xian was still alive. How would they fight against Su Xian next? If it dragged on like this, Lulangxing would lose sooner or later. At this moment, she had no intention of thinking about how Su Xian had avoided so many investigations. She just wanted to find out Su Xian's true body. Boom! At this moment, a huge movement came from above the Dark Elf Temple. A strong pressure descended. With a casual palm strike, the guards outside were all killed. Su Xian. Seeing that figure, Daisy was furious. This time, she could be sure that this was Su Xian's true body. Dare to come here in person, looking for death. If she were outside, she might not dare to confront Su Xian head-on. But in the city of 10,000 races, even if there were 10 more Su Xians, they would die here. Su Xian appeared, and his attack was like thunder. He activated the Divine Blessing state and the double ultimate kill effect of the Eternal Glory suit without hesitation, raising his combat power to the strongest state. The flowing star blade brought endless pressure, and the panic power instantly destroyed 80% of the formation. The magic sword Apophis slashed out a destructive edge, specifically targeting the main formation. The 1000 machine spear was ready to go. Once there was any emergency, the 1000 machine spear could resist or attack in the first time. Bang! The first floor of the Dark Elf Temple was directly destroyed by Su Xian. He kept searching for the breath of Chaos Stone and Daisy. There is a certain common connection between Chaos Stones. With Chaos Stone in hand, he can have some subtle induction of other Chaos Stones. Whoosh! 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 At the same time he sensed it, Daisy's fierce counterattack had also hit. The dark light that destroyed his blood clone before flew over. Su Xian raised his sword and swung it, easily blocking all the dark lights. This level of attack could only destroy his blood clone and posed no threat to him at all. The dark star in the temple flickered again. Whoosh! This time, the faint dark light directly turned into a beam of destruction as thick as a bucket. Su Xian still used one sword. It was just that this sword was a little harder to resist than before. At the same time, the protective formation of the city of 10,000 races was activated. Even if Su Xian was in the Dark Elf Temple, he could still feel the tremendous pressure. The arrow was on the string and had to be shot. Su Xian had no intention of caring about these. He slashed the magic sword in his hand again. Even if he had to flatten the Dark Elf Temple, he had to find Daisy and the Chaos Stone. Whoosh! The Dark Star flashed again. This time it turned into countless Dark Star bodies and pressed towards Su Xian from all directions. Found it? Su Xian smiled. As the formation continued to upgrade, he finally sensed the vague location of the Chaos Stone. 10,000 times return, I am a mentor in the Novice Village. Author, Mingtong Shui. Chapter 390. Chaos Rough Stone. The moment Su Xian sensed it, Daisy, as the controller of the Chaos Original Stone's Hyming, also noticed it. He captured Kuro's Chaos Stone. Until this moment, Daisy finally understood Su Xian's purpose. I am afraid that Su Xian broke into this place not only to kill himself, but more importantly, to kill the rough stone of chaos in front of him. Snort. Daisy exuded coldness. Su Xian, you are too arrogant. When Su Xian broke through the fourth layer of the Dark Star 7 Ju formation, the protective formation of the City of 10,000 Races had also been fully activated. With a casual move, she manipulated the power of the formation to press against Su Xian. This time, Su Xian was directly blasted away. After all, what he was facing was the foundation of thousands of people on the Lulan star for countless years. The power of the protective formation was beyond human power. Unless he brings the world tree with him, he might be able to resist. Just by himself, he is still far behind. Su Xian, is this your courage to enter the city of all races alone? Daisy's voice echoed in the temple. Do you think you are qualified to run wild in the base camp of Starlowland after having been on the battlefields of two realms? After the words fell, the fifth level of the Dark Star 7 Ju array was activated. At the same time, the power of the protective formation was suppressed again. The 1,000 machine spear behind Su Xian was finally no longer hidden, and turned into a blood rainbow and flew out, powerfully penetrating the fifth layer of the Dark Star 7 Ju formation. As the fifth layer was broken open, his perception of Daisy and the Chaos Stone became clearer and clearer. Boom! The power of the protective formation of all races fell again. At the moment when the power of the large array fell, the golden light on Su Xian's body lit up, and the power of the large array fell on the golden light, disappearing like a mud cow entering the sea. It is the forbidden technique Golden Body of Fortune. Taking advantage of the blessing of the Golden Body of Fortune, Su Xian slashed with both swords in his hands and once again broke through the sixth floor of the Dark Elf Temple. Daisy sits at the core. Sweat dripped down her forehead. Last chance. Daisy gritted her teeth, holding the Dark Elf scepter in one hand, and dragging the Chaos Rough Stone Jiming with the other hand, her breath rising and falling. At the same time, the seventh level of the Dark Star 7 Ultimate Formation was finally opened. Boom! Su Xian only felt that he had entered a strange space, and the ground turned into a huge, rotating dark vortex. Above the sky, a dark planet crashed down. This space was completely covered by the dark stars falling from the sky. He had no place to hide and could only resist. That kind of power that could destroy the heaven and earth could probably annihilate even a demigod. This is only under Daisy's control. If it were replaced by a demigod to preside over the formation, I am afraid that the first 6 layers of the formation may not be able to be broken so easily. Su Xian thought quickly in his mind. In addition to his final trump card God's Projection, the Ring of Qingquan Liak Xiang also contains 2 Golden Body of Fortune, as well as one of his own soul scalpels. There is also the double kill effect brought by Eternal Glory. Even if he breaks through the 7th level formation next, he may not be able to kill Daisy directly. Daisy sitting in her lair will not be killed so easily by him. So he must keep as many cards as possible to deal with unknown situations. After thinking for a short time, Su Xian looked up at the falling dark stars, bowed his body slightly, and held the magic sword Apophis and the meteoric star knife crossed. Momentum is gathering. Whoosh. The next moment, Su Xian burst out carrying the mark of glory. The swords crossed and slashed, drawing a huge X symbol on the falling dark star. Double kill. Broken star. The dark star shattered with a loud bang. All 7 layers of the formation were broken, and Su Xian finally clearly felt the location of the Chaos Stone and Daisy. Daisy looked at Su Xian, who was coming towards her. She did not dodge or escape, but stood there quietly, her eyes gradually turning gray. Now that the matter has come to this, it's time to make a decision with Su Xian. Today either Su Xian dies or she dies. Merge. Daisy spoke softly, took a step forward, hugged the shadow servant, and the Chaos Original Stone Jiming was suspended above their heads. Daisy's body gradually merged with the shadow servant. At the same time, Daisy's aura began to surge. Her true realm has not broken through to demigods, but the fluctuations she unleashed are no weaker than those of ordinary demigods. This method is exactly the same as Su Xian's. But this is her home turf. With the blessing of the blood array of the city of all races, her aura was stronger than Su Xian's at this time. She raised her hands and chanted a mantra, block. In an instant, the space seemed to be broken. Su Xian seemed to be running, but could not go any further. However, this method could only stop Su Xian for a moment. Su Xian's body flashed with silver light and he easily bypassed Daisy's space barrier. Thunder punishment. Daisy recited. Countless purple thunder suddenly erupted in the space. Su Xian's whole body also flashed with lightning, and the blue sea of thunder was more violent than the purple thunder. Weak water. Daisy's face was expressionless and her words were casual. This is the ability that the Chaos Original Stone's Hyming brings to her. Golden light emerged from the combat boots on Su Xian's feet, the divine wind effect was activated, his speed suddenly increased, and he easily dodged the attack of 3000 weak water. False destiny. Daisy's attacks are getting stronger and stronger. This time, Su Xian only felt that there was an invisible ominousness taking away his energy and spirit. At the same time, the pressure of the blood array of all races is getting stronger and stronger. Even with full firepower, he was almost unable to withstand it. In the most powerful base camp of Lulan Star, Zongheng was indeed a little worse. Su Xian opened the Supreme Jingxin Lotus and forcibly got rid of the invisible ominous things in the void. Ruling. One move after another. Blood slowly flowed out of Daisy's 7 orifices, and her grey eyes had tiny, terrifying bloodshot eyes. There are countless shadows gathering in the space. These are all the top experts who were famous in Lulan Star. They were once the guardians of the city of all races. Now they are taking action together to eliminate Su Xian, the invading enemy. Each phantom only sends out one move. It is also their strongest move, and these moves carry the extraordinary power of the blood array of all races. Facing the phantom judgments of the past guardians of the city of 10,000 races, Su Xian finally couldn't resist, and after receiving 7 consecutive moves, his body was blown away. Su Xian, I admit that you are very strong and you are the strongest opponent I have ever encountered. Daisy's cold and ethereal voice came, if it weren't for you, Blue Star would have been defeated long ago. As a human race, you are amazing. As my opponent, I also admire you very much. But if you try to use your own power to fight against the entire race, you will definitely bring about your own destruction. Her eyes looked at Su Xian from a distance. There was a strange sparkle in his eyes. Winning you in this way is my failure. If there is an afterlife, I hope I can compete with you openly again. But today, you must die.